Henry Cavill. The name alone carries power. He's Superman to millions, Geralt of Rivia to fantasy fans, and the man who stole scenes in Mission Impossible. But behind the roles he did play lies an even bigger story, the roles he almost had. And one of them fits him so perfectly, it feels like Hollywood missed its greatest opportunity. From the very start of his career, Cavill seemed destined for iconic parts. He had the face, the presence, and the aura of a classic leading man. Yet time and again, history turned against him. He was nearly James Bond. He was the author's first choice for Edward Cullen in Twilight. He even auditioned for Superman, long before the cape was his. Each time, the chance slipped away, not because of talent, but because of timing, studio politics, or simple luck.
But the first time you got the call that you could play Superman, what was your reaction?
Well, the first time I got the call, I actually missed it. I was playing World of Warcraft at the time, and I had my priorities straight.
Wait a minute, you were home. It's not like you weren't home. You were home, but you were playing World of Warcraft, and the phone rings, and you're like, I'll get that later?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get that later. And I was playing, it was an important part of a particular dungeon that I was going through. And it's cool now that I'm Superman.
Yeah.
And then I looked across at the last moment, and I saw Zack Snyder's name on the phone, so I grabbed the phone and then missed it.
Right.
And so I called him back immediately and said, I'm really sorry, I was saving someone's life. And I missed your call.
Which is what I do all the time.
And then he gave me the news.
That's what makes this story so compelling. Cavill was never just chasing roles. Hollywood was circling him, waiting for the right moment to commit. But the industry blinked at the wrong time. The result? Other actors took the spotlight. Daniel Craig redefined Bond. Robert Pattinson rode Twilight to stardom, then put on the cowl as Batman. Brandon Routh became Superman before Cavill ever had the chance. Every decision shaped pop culture, while Cavill remained on the sidelines waiting. And yet fans never stopped imagining him. Why? Because Cavill brings three things every legendary role demands. Presence, the silent gravity that makes a scene revolve around him. Physicality, the believability of action, strength, and danger. And myth, the sense that his characters aren't just performed, but lived. These qualities are why people keep picturing him as Bond, Batman, or even fantasy heroes like Aragorn. He doesn't just look the part, he is the part. So which role should have been his? That's the mystery. We'll solve tonight. We'll test the contenders, Bond, Batman, and others, against Cavill's undeniable strengths. And before this ends, we'll reveal not only the role that fits him best, but the one he may still be preparing to claim, because Henry Cavill isn't waiting for Hollywood anymore. He's building his own path, and when you see what's coming, you might agree, the best role of his career could still be ahead. Every great actor has a story of the one that got away. But for Henry Cavill, it wasn't just one. It was several, and each one could have completely changed the course of his career. The first near miss was James Bond. Back in the mid-2000s, Cavill was in the running to replace Pierce Brosnan as 007. He had the looks, the accent, and the physicality. But at just 22 years old, the producers felt he was too young. Instead, the role went to Daniel Craig. Craig would go on to reinvent Bond for a new era, but imagine for a moment if Cavill had gotten the part.
And how'd you take it?
Straight up, with a twist. Thank you, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Nice to meet you, Mr. Bond.
Pleasure, I'm sure, was all that.
A fresh-faced, suave, physically imposing Bond could have launched him into superstardom almost overnight. Instead, Cavill had to wait nearly a decade before he became a household name. Then came another close call. When Stephenie Meyer was writing Twilight, she openly admitted that Henry Cavill was her first choice to play Edward Cullen. He was her perfect Edward. But by the time the film went into production, Cavill was considered too old to play a teenage vampire, and the role went to Robert Pattinson. The rest is history. Pattinson became a global phenomenon, his career exploding in directions Cavill could only watch from the outside.
I mean, Superman was one of them.
Oh, the first time around, yeah.
Yeah, Bond was another one. And now I want both.
Because wasn't Twilight written for you?
Oh, well, hey, I don't know. I wouldn't go that far. Or you can. I think the writer of the books, when the movie came around, I think I was her first choice. I think. That's the rumor I heard. And she wanted me to play the role, but it wasn't up to her. And instead, you know, a very talented actor played it instead.
And of course, there was Superman. Cavill actually auditioned for the role years before Man of Steel was even a concept. In 2006, when Bryan Singer directed Superman Returns, Cavill was in serious consideration. But once again, the part slipped through his hands, going instead to Brandon Routh. Cavill would eventually wear the cape, but the fact that he missed it once already made his later casting feel like destiny delayed. Taken individually, these near misses might seem like bad luck. But when you line them up, a pattern emerges. Time and again, Cavill was seen as the right man at the wrong time. Too young, too old, not quite the studio's pick. Always circling greatness, but never handed the keys. And yet fans never forgot. Even when the roles went to others, people kept saying the same thing. Henry Cavill would have been perfect. That chorus followed him from Bond to Batman, from Superman to fantasy epics. Because Cavill has something you can't overlook. He looks like he belongs among legends. So why did Henry Cavill keep missing out on these legendary roles? The answer isn't as simple as bad luck. It comes down to a combination of timing, perception, and the politics of Hollywood casting. Take James Bond, for example. When Cavill auditioned, the producers saw him as almost too flawless. He had the eyes-side chest, classic Bond look. Tall, dark, impossibly handsome. But at just 22 years old, he didn't feel seasoned enough to carry the weight of the character. They wanted grit, a sense of world weariness, and Cavill was still at the stage where he looked more like the polished poster boy than the battle-scarred spy. So the role went to Daniel Craig, who brought that toughness, that edge, that Cavill simply hadn't lived enough years to show yet. Then there's Twilight. Here, the problem was the opposite. Stephenie Meyer described Cavill as her dream Edward Cullen. She imagined him from the very first draft of the novel. But by the time casting started, Cavill was no longer the wide-eyed teenager fans would believe as a 17-year-old vampire. Hollywood decided to go younger, and Robert Pattinson stepped in. That single choice turned Pattinson into a worldwide superstar and left Cavill once again just outside the spotlight. Even with Superman, Cavill seemed trapped in Hollywood's almost zone. In 2006, he tested for Superman Returns. He was right there, standing in the cape, waiting for the studio's blessing. But Warner Brothers chose Brandon Routh instead. Cavill's time would eventually come in 2013's Man of Steel. But it's worth noting, he was considered almost perfect for the same role 7 years earlier. What does this tell us? That Hollywood saw something undeniable in Cavill. He was always on their radar, always considered, always close. But he existed in a strange limbo. Too young for Bond, too old for Twilight, too overshadowed for Superman. In other words, Henry Cavill was caught between eras. And yet, that tension may be what made him so beloved by fans. Because every time he missed a role, people talked about it. Every casting decision that excluded him only added to his myth. He became not just the actor who played Superman and Geralt, but the actor fans imagined in 100 other legendary roles. Now comes the real question. If Henry Cavill kept circling greatness, which role was truly his destiny? Which character out there feels as if it was written with him in mind? For many fans, the answer is obvious: James Bond. Think about it. Cavill has every quality that defines 007. The presence, the danger, the wit. He can walk into a room and command attention without saying a word. He can pull off the tuxedo, the martini, the smirk, and still convince you that he's capable of taking down an army with his bare hands. Bond has always been about balance, suave but brutal, charming but lethal. Few actors alive embody that duality as naturally as Henry Cavill. And if you doubt it, just look at the man from UNCLE. Cavill played Napoleon Solo, a Cold War spy, and the performance was essentially a Bond audition hiding in plain sight. Smooth voice, sharp timing, effortless charm, he had it all. Even people who didn't love the movie admitted Cavill was magnetic. Watching him in that role felt like a reminder. Here is an actor who was born to carry a franchise built on style and danger. But Bond isn't the only contender. Some argue Cavill would have been the perfect Batman. The jawline, the intensity, the brooding presence. He has the exact qualities that make Bruce Wayne believable. He could have embodied the billionaire playboy by day and the terrifying vigilante by night. Fans often imagine him stepping into the cowl, and truthfully, it isn't hard to picture. Still, when you weigh the options, one role rises above the rest. Bond is where all the threads converge. Cavill was nearly chosen once. His fans have never stopped campaigning for him, and his career trajectory has prepared him perfectly. He's older now, with the gravitas producers once thought he lacked. He's proven he can carry blockbuster franchises. He has the discipline, the charm, and the myth around him. The irony is that Cavill's greatest missed role may still be waiting for him. Daniel Craig's Bond era is over. The search for the next 007 is underway. And Henry Cavill, after all. The almosts may finally be standing at the right age, in the right moment, with the right level of fame. If Cavill does step into Bond's shoes, it won't just feel like casting. It'll feel like history correcting itself. Henry Cavill's career is proof that timing is everything. For years, he was the almost man, too young, too old, too late, or just one step behind someone else's big break. But here's the twist. Cavill is no longer at the mercy of Hollywood's hesitation. He's building his own future, and that changes everything. Take Warhammer 40,000. Cavill isn't just starring in it, he's producing it. This is his passion project, one he's nurtured for years as a lifelong gamer and fan. That means for the first time, he isn't waiting for studios to hand him a role. He's creating one, shaping a universe where his vision, his leadership, and his dedication to source material set the tone. This is Cavill at his most powerful, not auditioning, but architecting. And this shift opens up new doors. If Cavill thrives as both actor and producer, Hollywood will see him differently. No longer the actor who missed Bond or Batman, but the man who created the next great cinematic universe. That kind of momentum could make him impossible to ignore for the very roles that slipped through his fingers. Think about Bond again. Daniel Craig redefined the character for a modern audience. But the next Bond? He has to be someone who blends tradition with fresh energy. Cavill, now in his 40s, has that perfect mix: maturity, experience, and a global fan base that has been calling for his casting for over a decade. This isn't just fan fantasy anymore. The longer the search drags on, the stronger Cavill's name grows in the conversation. Even Batman isn't out of the question. With DC constantly reinventing itself, there's always a new iteration of The Dark Knight on the horizon. Cavill has already proven his superhero credibility. Sliding from Superman to Batman might sound unlikely, but in Hollywood, no door ever stays fully closed. The truth is this: Cavill's story is far from finished. The roles that slipped away might not be gone forever. In fact, they may be circling back around at the exact moment Cavill has the strength, the status, and the control to seize them. And if that happens, if Henry Cavill finally becomes Bond or Batman, or even launches his own franchise empire, it won't feel like a surprise. It'll feel like destiny catching up. Henry Cavill's career has been a journey of near misses, delayed victories, and unforgettable performances. From the Bond that slipped away, to the vampire that never was, to the Superman that came years later than it should have, his story reads less like failure and more like fate taking the scenic route. Because here's the truth, every almost added to his legend. Every time Cavill missed a role, fans didn't forget him. They rallied around him. They said, he should have been Bond. He should have been Batman. He should have been Edward. And that chorus of voices has turned Cavill into something rare in Hollywood, an actor whose unrealized roles are as famous as the ones he actually played. That's why his future feels so exciting. Whether it's through Warhammer 40,000 or a surprise return to the world of superheroes, or even stepping into the tuxedo as the next Euro 7, Henry Cavill's greatest role may still be ahead of him. And if that day comes, it won't just be a win for Cavill. It will be a victory for every fan who believed all along. So here's the question. Which role do you think Cavill was truly born to play? James Bond, Batman, or something completely new that we haven't even imagined yet? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading them all, because this is a debate that deserves every fan's voice. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into Cavill's career, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. On this channel, we explore the stories Hollywood doesn't always tell. The almost, the what-ifs, and the behind-the-scenes twists that shape the careers of the stars you love. Don't just watch from the sidelines. Be part of the conversation. Oh, and don't forget to tap the bell icon so you never miss a single upload. We've got more stories coming about Cavill and other Hollywood legends, and trust me, you'll want to be here when they drop. Because Henry Cavill's story isn't finished. In fact, the best chapter may still be waiting just around the corner.